What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
What
the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
Game 7, that's what I'm talking about. Do or die, that's what I'm talking about. The Rob Ellis Show on A2D Radio, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome in, everybody. All right, this is the cone of trust. We are in the cone of trust right now. We can level with each other, all right? We can level with each other. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? What is the level here? What is the scale of the anxiety that has gripped you at this point? I got to tell you, the honest answer is, and I was talking to my producer, Ralph, before the show about this. The honest answer is I feel really good that the Phillies are going to win this game. I feel really good that the Phillies will win Game 7, the first Game 7 in their history. They've been around since 1883. I feel good they're going to win this game. I love the fact that Ranger Suarez, who is the coolest customer that there is on the mound for the Phillies. I feel good that the Phillies have the most clutch player, certainly in baseball, but maybe in sports, going for them on their side in Bryce Harper. I feel great about a bounce back from Kyle Schwarber, from Trey Turner. And I think Rob Thompson realizes he can't put Craig Kimbrell in big spots. So for all of those reasons, and the fact that Citizens Bank Park is going to be absolutely engulfed in flames, it will be on fire and fuego tonight, I feel good. However, I'm a little nervous. I can't sit here and tell you with total certainty that this thing's a lock, because it's not a lock. We've seen weird stuff, in our world as Philadelphia sports fans, right? We've seen really weird stuff. I go back to 2001. I know there are people that don't remember that far back when the Eagles are playing their last game at Veteran Stadium, actually 2002, last game at Veteran Stadium, and they're playing the Bucs, who they always owned. It was below 32 degrees, everything set up perfectly. They take a big kick return back, then they punch it right in the end zone, and boom, done. All right, going to San Diego to play in the Super Bowl against the Raiders, who they would roll, and it just all went up in flames. So I've lived it, you've lived it, we've lived it. We know nothing's a lock. You don't take anything for granted. But I do feel good. I do. I know the Delaware Valley's scared. I know everybody out there today is kind of creeping around like, what do you think? What do you think, man? What do you think? I get it. I understand. I'm in Wawa today, and I have a guy I know who I know is a sports fan, right? And he spots me, and he's on the total. He's over getting coffee. I'm over by the ATM, which is on opposite sides. Okay. I see him making his move. Comes over and he just starts smiling. He's like smiling at me, going like this. And I look at him and I say to him, what do you think? And he said, what do you think? And I said, I think they're going to win tonight. And he said, tell you the truth, man, I don't know anymore. And the guy was being so honest, man. And he was getting ready to go to work. And I could tell, like, there wasn't going to be an ounce of work done. What's up, Bryce? What's up, my man, Bryce Blackwell? What is up, Martian Lynch 33, by the way? I didn't get a chance to give you a little love, too. What's up, dude? I hope you guys are well. Everybody want to jump in. You give me your thoughts. You tell me where you are. You tell me where you are. You want to give me a scale of 1 to 10? You want to just tell me what you're doing tonight, how you bided your time to try to get by until 8:07. I know it's tough, man, but by the way, just to finish my story here, I knew that guy wasn't going to get an ounce of work done at work today. He wasn't going to get anything done. He was totally distracted. He was out of his mind. And you know what? He's not alone. If you're a boss in the Philadelphia region, I should say, you got to understand that your productivity maybe isn't going to be through the roof today and maybe tonight. Now, if you're a bartender, you own a restaurant, you need everybody to be on their A game because it's going to be cranking tonight for sure for a Game 7. But it is weird. It is weird in their history. What's up, Mike? Why did Aaron Nola not have a good outing? That's a really good question. I thought he looked awesome in the first inning. and then everything came apart. I think oftentimes when Nola struggles, a lot of it is mechanical. And I can't quite put my finger on why he kind of came unglued in that second inning. But I will say this. He did kind of keep him in it, for a while. Granted, he wasn't good. I don't get me wrong. But this game for me, it was definitely Nola. I think it was two pieces. It was Nola and it was the bats. Bats were terrible. The approach was terrible in that game. You look at some of the swings that Castellanos had, that Turner had, for that matter. They were just undisciplined, chasing garbage, letting pitches that were right down the middle go, that were called strike threes, and then complaining. Like Bohm and Marsh both did that. Those pitches were right there, feeling like 2011, but we can win. We got to hit pitch strong, Topper could make decision. Yeah, Bryce, I'm trying not to go down the 2011 road. I really am, man. I'm trying not to have visions of that Cardinal series, and we all know how it ended with Ryan Howard, going down in a heap. I'm trying to avoid all those kind of negative thoughts, man. What's up, Rob? Yeah, game 7. Let's roll. Let's roll this thing. Flyers play Vegas tonight, 4-3 win. TK grabs 2. I'll tell you, TK's having a good start. TK's having a good start. The Flyers are having a good start. That game's at 11, by the way. So you better strap in. It's going to be a long, long one. And we have the NBA kicking off tonight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But I really do blame the bats. And here's the thing. If you want to feel good about something, I really don't think they're going to contain Bryce Harper in his house 2 straight nights. I don't think they're going to contain Kyle Schwarber 2 straight nights at his house. I see Turner bouncing back tonight. I really do. I don't see the offense being as futile as they were. Now, here's the thing. Fought, who's pitching tonight for the Diamondbacks, looks like a really good young pitcher. Okay. What's up, Dave? What is up, Bryce? I gave Bryce a little love. What's up, Mike? I gave you a little love as well. But good to hear from all you guys. Appreciate it. Dave Rogers, my man. So I think there's a big difference between a young pitcher pitching in Arizona in front of his home crowd versus pitching at Citizens Bank Park. I know there's a lot of debate in Philadelphia about whether or not the crowd wasn't quite as juiced. Here's where I fall on this. There's 2 things. One, the crowd feeds off of the team. And when a team doesn't play well, they don't pitch particularly well early, and they don't hit, it's hard to keep manufacturing juice as a fan base, right? You're trying to get up. You're trying to get everybody excited. And they did that a couple times. They were chanting Nola in a positive way, not a derivative way, a couple of times. But it's hard for the fan base to get up, when there isn't much happening good on the field. All right, first off. And I think the other thing is there are maybe some people who are priced out of, National League Championship games, potentially World Series games, that just can't afford that ticket price. So maybe some of your more blue collarish kind of folks. So if it is a little bit more corporate, maybe there isn't quite the intensity level, if that makes sense. All that said, I think the crowd knows, obviously, they know what's at stake tonight. I think they're going to come out and be really, really impactful in this game. And look, the key is going to be here. You have Ranger Suarez, who's got an 0.94 ERA in the postseason. Okay. He's been awesome. I really, really would like to see Rob Thompson have faith in him. Don't yank him in the 4th inning. Don't yank him in the 5th if he's pitching well. Let him get through the 6th if he's pitching well. Now, the good thing is this is an all hands on deck game, which means everybody with the exception of Aaron Nola is available. So let's say you get Ranger Suarez, I don't know, through 6. All right. Let's say you get him through 6. You have some options. And that maybe let's say 5 or 6. So to me, here's your options after Ranger. If he gets you that far, which I think he will. So if he gets you that far, here's what's on the table. Possibly Strom, depending if you have some lefty, matchup situations. Possibly Sir Anthony, Hoffman, Wheeler, Alvarado. That's it. It's too big a spot for Kerkering. Don't even think about Kimbrel. I don't want to see Soto. There's a lot of guys I don't want to see. They're the only options. Preferably, if I could really pare it down, I go Hoffman, Wheeler, Alvarado to close it. 6 or 7, 8, 9. Possibility. I wonder if they would go multiple innings with Wheeler. I wonder. We've seen it before in big spots, Schilling and Randy Johnson. We've seen this guy, Oral Hershiser back in the day. We've seen this before. I think there's a possibility. But the key is going to be early to take care of your business here. By the way, let me get rid of this my backdrop here. I'll get that out of there for you guys so you don't have to see some green screen, and I'll give you a look at my my gorgeous backdrop that we have here for you. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of how I would roll with this thing, for sure. And look, a couple things to keep in mind. Oh, I got to push this down. So that's what I'll do. I'm going to push it down in show. Get ready, guys. Here we go. This is real stuff you're saying. And goodbye. That's the magic. That is the magic that happens in digital technology, if you will. All right. Anyway, my point being, I think if those guys come out, and particularly Ranger sets the tone, they're going to be in good shape. I really do believe that. But let's not overlook the offense. I want them early, and they actually did this in the first inning. Kind of forget it because Merrill Kelly did settle in. But against Fought tonight, work the count. Take an old school approach, see some pitches, get this guy out of there, get them into their bullpen, which I know the Phillies didn't do any damage against last night, but do it tonight. Do it tonight. Get him out of the game early. To me, this guy comes in with some confidence level because he pitched pretty good in that game when he pitched, but the Phillies will take advantage of it. Look, I think they win. I think they're the better team. If I just cut everything out of this, right, and I said to you, all right, we're sitting here. What is the confidence level for tonight, J-Man? My confidence level is high, but I am not in full-blown, this thing's a lock mode. That's where I'm at. What's up, Brian? Good to see you as always. Adam's exploits. Good to see you on my friend. I had to pay to comment on X. I don't know what that means exactly, but yeah, I think the offense needs to get back to how they were games 1 and 2. But how about I'll take game 5? I'll take game 5. Work the pitcher, get him out of there early. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things and one of the biggest keys. But if I said to you, confidence level's good, J-Man. Not spectacular, but good. If I said to you, 1 game to win, it's at Citizens Bank Park, the place that has the best home field advantage, maybe the best home field court ice advantage in sports. And you have Ranger Suarez on the mound who's got an 0.94 ERA. I mean, right? You probably sign up for that. You win this thing, you're in the World Series. I mean, it's as simple as that. Just take care of your business at your place. They've lost, 3 of the last 4 games to Arizona. Is Arizona really going to beat them 4 out of 5? I don't think so. I don't. But you did give them, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this thing for you entirely. You gave them some confidence. You did. After you won that game 5 and they had to take that long flight back here, man, you should have just curb stomped them. And they didn't. And now the Diamondbacks say to themselves, we can win on at their place. It's not that hard, not that impossible. So that was a biggie last night. That was a bummer. So that was a bummer. Yeah, Bohm, I agree. Bohm and JT have to step up, Mitch. No, you're right. I think they will. I think Bohm's pressing a little bit. If there's one change I would have made, and I said this to you guys last week, I would have moved JT up. Now, I think what he's doing is he's trying to have length in the lineup. He's trying to have some guys who are hitting pretty well in the back end. JT's hitting pretty decently. Bohm's in a funk. Bohm's in his own head right now. I mean, I chalk up Rojas he's a young kid. He's going to be an automatic out. He's in there for his defense. But Bohm's got to give you more. Stott's been, better, solid, not great, but solid. Bohm and Stott are going to be keys in this game. Marsh is going to be a key in this game, and Marsh has hit pretty decently. And you just got to be clean and aggressive. I thought the Phillies set the tone with their aggression in game 5 in the first inning with that double steal and everything else that happened. Keep your foot on the gas. Keep your foot on the gas. Don't be conservative in this game. Play it balls to the wall. That's what they have to do in this game more than anything else. But, let's face it. The old adage in baseball is momentum's only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. I like Ranger Suarez's chances. I know Fought pitched well against the Phillies out there, but I will take Ranger all day. Jake's torn, not confident will win, but I also don't think Fought will pitch well again. Yeah, Jake, I'm not. I don't know. Torn's the right word. I'd be torn if I was kind of split 50-50. I'm not torn. Like, I have confidence, but I'm not beaming with it, if that makes sense. We've seen too many weird things happen, man. All right, let's come back. We'll dive a little bit further into this game 7, this all or nothing game. We'll do that. The Eagles make a monster move, in my opinion, to really solidify the defensive backfield. We'll talk about that. Their big win over Miami. We'll look ahead to Washington. I see everybody. Ryan, I see you. I see you, Dylan. I see you, Gary. I'm going to get each and every one of you guys when we come back. We'll do that. We'll look ahead to the Sixers season as well. Don't go anywhere. Quickie, right back. I'm Rob Ellis, the Rob Ellis Show, A2D Radio.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
Hats.com is the premier destination for quality and fashion-forward hats and more, with designs for every style and trend. Locally based and run by Philly sports team fanatics, Hats.com can help you elevate your hat john. Utilize the easy-to-use guides at Hats.com to find your perfect size and style, and shipping and returns are free. Hats.com. Find yourself in a hat. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Hats.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Rob Ellis Show, A2D Radio. Appreciate you hanging out as we do each and every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Yeah, I get it. I'll tell you, I'm confident about this game, but I understand the trepidation. We're scarred. Let's face it. I mean, look, yes, we had the Super Bowl where the Eagles took care of the Patriots, but that was 5 years ago. We're coming off a Super Bowl where the Eagles were up 10 at the half and lost. We're coming off a Philly season last year where you went to game 6, Rob Thompson pulls Wheeler, and we all know what happened after that. So there's some fresh wounds here. So I understand. And we've seen some ugly, ugly endings. I don't know about you, but I think part of it too, for me, is like, I'm just not ready for this to end. I'm not ready for this ride to go. And that's not the critical thinking part of my brain, right? But I'm not there emotionally yet where it's like, oh, wow, baseball's over? No. This is why, having that home field advantage in this series was so critical. And Gary, I get it. I think we're all there. Look, I'm not going to be lying to you. I mean, before this game starts, before the first pitch, man, how deep do you see Ranger going, followed by Wheels? I think Ranger gets you. I feel good. I think he's going to give you 6. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 6. Now, we know Topper's got a pretty quick hook for some reason with him, but I hope he doesn't, as I said a little bit earlier. I don't know whether he's going to go right to Wheeler or save Wheeler for a little bit later. That part of it to me is going to be fascinating. Now, obviously, some of this is dictated by matchups, lefties, and righties and all that, where he uses certain people. Here's what I think will be a tell, if you will. If you're in like the 7th or 8th and they have some lefties coming up and he goes Alvarado, you're going to see Wheeler closing this thing out. And that could be pretty freaking crazy. We've seen them do it before. I mean, Ranger did it. So we've seen it before. But yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what Thompson's decision-making is. He's taken a little bit of heat for some of the choices that he made in games 3 and 4, certainly game 4 going back to Kimbrel, which was a mistake in hindsight, but I think he's realized that. I mean, we saw him. Yeah. Fans need to be loud tonight, Gary. There's no question about that. The fans need to be loud and raucous and impactful. Ryan, now Casty is back to swinging at everything. Teams know, keep throwing him off speed pitches outside. He'll swing. You're right, Ryan. And he's got to Bond still like clean up. I know, Adam, I don't like it either. I am hoping that Castellanos can get out of those funks that he falls into, because they need him bad. He was good early in this series, with the home runs, and he was really big in the Atlanta series with home runs that got the Phillies back into games that they were trailing very early, not by a lot, but trailing, and sort of momentum shifting home runs. I just need him to be more selective. I need him to be more selective. I need him to be more selective. I need Turner to be more selective. They were easy outs last night. And I hope that Bryce doesn't start getting frustrated with not getting any pitches because they're not afraid to, walk him and pitch to Bohm. I hope he doesn't chase either. Obviously, we'd all like to see him hit home runs and do damage with doubles, etc. But I'll take a walk, man. Get as much traffic on base as possible. That's when good things happen. Schwarber and Harper both had good at-bats in their first at-bat because they knew Kelly wasn't going to throw him anything. That's fine. Do the same thing tonight. If Fought isn't throwing you anything to hit, take it. And then some of the other guys, I think, can jump on some first pitch stuff that's going to be around the plate. I think that's going to be big. I feel good about the defense. I do. I feel good about the defense. I think they'll be fine. A pared down bullpen with all hands on deck is huge. But, there's a weird sort of, I guess, perverse part of me that's excited to see a Game 7. There really is. Of course I would rather the Phillies have finished this thing off last night. I wish they would have swept them out in Arizona. And that's the kicker too. This thing should have been a sweep. Phillies had leads in Game 3 and 4. And the frustrating part for me about last night is, at least in Games 3 and 4, I felt like they showed up. Okay. I felt like they came to play. And then they obviously blew the games, but I felt like they came. I didn't feel like in Game 6 they came to play. I don't know if they thought they could just kind of show up and the crowd was going to carry them, and they beat Merrill Kelly in Game 2 or whatever. But man, it was a lackluster effort for a very big spot. So I think they will bounce back. I do. I believe that. I trust that they will win. They will play. I'll give you game prediction and who I think will do well a little bit later. But I do want to talk some Eagles here. They make a move yesterday. It's always Howie season. I've been saying to you guys for a while now, Howie Roseman absolutely will make a move. Absolutely will make a move. Gary, yeah, the Phillies lacked energy. I agree with you. Pressure's on the Phillies, not the Diamondbacks. Scott, that is true. That is absolutely true. The pressure has shifted back to the Phillies without question. Making the move for Byard, who's a really good safety. He's not peak of where he was at his best. He's lost a step maybe in coverage, that's for sure. But 27 career interceptions for a team right now that is not taking the ball away at all is big. A guy who plays every game, 111 consecutive, for a team that's got all kinds of injuries at the safety spot and the nickel corner spot is big. And having another veteran back there is big too. I mean, first of all, Slay had a great game last week against Miami. Excellent game. As did some of the younger guys, Josiah Scott, Job, Eli Ricks. But to get another veteran back there to be able to work with these guys is critical. And look, from this standpoint, they didn't give anything up. They didn't give anything up. Gary, I agree. They didn't give anything up. I mean, they give up a 4th and a 5th next year. So what? They got plenty of draft picks. You can either, if you like the way that he played this year, you can restructure him, or if he doesn't play well, you can let him go. You can figure it out. But this is a nice piece that they're adding. He's going to have a little bit. I think there's a couple of added incentives here for Kevin Byard when he comes here. One, he lived here until I think he was 14, and then he moved to the Georgia area. So he was a West Philly kid coming up. Number one. Number two, he got out of an organization that, and I know he spent his whole career there, but is the definition of mediocrity. And now he's got a shot to win a Super Bowl. You know how that charges you, how that energizes you to come to that kind of setting? And I mean, it's perfect. It's a great addition. And I give the defense a lot of credit for the way that they played last week. Miami came into that game, across the board, points, rushing yards, passing yards, total yards. They were number one by a long distance in a lot of categories. And for a defense as young as they are, inexperienced as they are, I thought they played good. And I'll tell you this, we might have a really good defensive coordinator in this city in Justin Desai, because what I'm seeing is he's adapting pretty quickly to injuries and some new faces and a new situation, right? And I also think I'm seeing guys develop. Like these young undrafted defensive backs are developing pretty quickly, and that's a big thing. I felt like last week, generally, I know they got to clean up the turnovers, which I'll get to in a little bit, but last week to me felt the most like a 2022 win. It was one of those games where the entire season, even though the Eagles have some pretty quality wins, it was kind of like, yeah, but I didn't feel like a yeah, but last week. When you could beat a team that only had one loss going in, the way that they did is pretty big. And it's impressive. And the other thing that I think we found out is, and this is a really old school way of thinking, okay? Power beats finesse. Power beats finesse. Can't win games losing the turnover battle. Pete, you're right. And that's something that they're going to have to get a handle on. And Jalen's going to have to clean up 10 turnovers through 7 games is not going to do it. He's got more than he had all of last year. He's got to be better. It was a very mixed bag with him. Very mixed bag Sunday night. He made some spectacular plays, some plays to get out of trouble, plays keeping them alive with his legs and his strength, or the guy pulling him down, still able to complete a pass. There are very few, if any, quarterbacks who could do that in the league. And he found a little rhythm throwing the ball, which we haven't necessarily seen all that much this year. But again, can't hold the ball too long on the strip sack. And the interception was just a force. And we didn't see him do that last year. Am I on the decide bus? You know what? The way the GAN wagon went last year, I think I better stay off of buses, Adam. I think I better stay off transportation, public transportation or private for that matter. But no, I'm just trying to give love where love is due and props where props are due. I think the side's doing a good job so far. Consider, again, their defensive numbers aren't going to blow you away, and they're not taking the ball away enough. But I think a lot of that is personnel versus scheme versus the coordinator. The good news here is you have a defensive line that's ferocious. They're ferocious. I mean, you have edge rushers in Reddick and Sweat that can absolutely get after the quarterback. You have D tackles who are nasty. Yeah, it did, Gary. It had a little Jim Johnson feel to it, for sure. But you have defensive tackles who just smother the run. I mean, I don't know if people have been paying attention to the rush numbers and just how great the Eagles have been against the run, but it is something to behold here. They are the best team in football, and it's not really that close against the run. So what happens there is you make teams one-dimensional, plain and simple. I mean, the Eagles are giving up 62.9 yards per game on the ground. It's awesome. Detroit's been good, 76, San Fran 79, but the Eagles are the best by far. Once the turnovers start coming, which I think they will. I think they eventually. Carter is a beast, Gary. Then I think everything will take care of itself. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you have Jalen Carter, who doesn't resemble a rookie even a little bit. He looks like a guy who's been playing 10 years. You have Jordan Davis, who's light years from the guy that we saw last year. Fletcher Cox and Milton Williams, you're great inside. Okay? And then you go to the outside with your edge rushers, and you haven't really even gotten anything out of Brandon Graham yet, which I think that will come. I know he's not the same player that he was, but I think they're actually pacing him. I do. I think that there's going to be a slow build to more reps for him. Plus the fact, you got to think about this. Do you really want Sweat or Reddick off the field? I mean, how about how good Reddick was last week against the run? I mean, there were 2 plays that jump out where he makes tackles in the backfield of Raheem Mostert, who was leading the league in rushing. Miami was averaging 181 yards per game on the ground, and they had like 45 or 46. Like, they did an awesome job. They really did. And they were able to overcome, some of the turnovers and some of the other stuff that happened in that game. But man, it was really, really impressive what they were able to do. It really was. I mean, and I give, like I said, I give the side props. I give the players props. I like what I'm seeing right now. And I feel like, you start to look around the league, and San Francisco loses to Miami. The previous week, they lose to Cleveland. They're not as invincible as people thought. Dallas certainly has their shortcomings. They had lost 2 games, and they barely got by the Chargers in the game that they played. It was kind of ugly. And, Detroit looked human last week against Baltimore. There's a lot there. The pick by Slay and the catch and down the seam by AJ plays the game. Agreed, Mitch. The pick by Slay changes everything. So at that point, the Eagles are up 24-17. Miami's driving. It's the 4th quarter. They're in pretty deep in Eagles territory. He gets that pick. The Eagles get the ball back, go all the way down the field, and make it 2 touchdowns, and the game was basically out of reach at that point. The Slay play was gigantic, and I was looking at his PFF numbers, which I know can be a little funky sometimes. But he graded out, brilliantly. So, and that's coming off missing him the week before with the knee. I was a little bit worried about, what capacity he was going to be at, but he looked great. So hopefully he's a little bit rejuvenated. Maybe having that week off to rest that knee almost served as a bye week for him. and he's going to have a little bit more juice coming into this game. But, we'll get into the Washington game in a second. But no, I was really, really encouraged by what I saw, and I feel good about where this team's headed on the defensive side. Offensively, I think they're still trying to figure out the red zone a little bit, even though they were 4 for 6. Certainly hurts. The turnovers have to be cleaned up. So we'll get into that when we come back, and we will discuss this upcoming game against the Washington team that gave the Eagles all they could handle the first time they played at Lincoln Financial Field. So we'll do that. Don't go anywhere, by the way, because we will get into the Sixers, the season outlook for them, because they start play on Thursday. We'll cover some Flyers, so we're off to a good start, and I'll give you my prediction for tonight's Phillies game. So you don't go anywhere. Quick timeout. We'll be right back with the Rob Ellis Show here on A2D Radio.
In our family, food is our daily bond. My Nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Rob Ellis Show, A2D Radio. Ref, let's give the folks the A2D question of the day. Love to have all you guys chime in. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Agree or disagree? The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Agree or disagree? I agree. Look, I know the 49ers are playing last night without Deebo Samuel, without Trent Williams. Like, I get it, but they're vulnerable. They are. Those guys weren't playing on defense last night, and Kirk Cousins made plays, and Brock Purdy in big spots coughed the ball up. I think the Lions are good, but we saw the Lions on the road against Baltimore. The big question is, will they travel well late in the season in bad weather? We'll see. We'll see about the Lions. And the Cowboys, they got their flaws. Let me just real quick when it comes to the Gary asked me, what do I think about Brian Johnson so far? I think it's a work in progress, Gary. I think it's a work in progress. I think the red zone is still being figured out a little bit. I think the rhythm of calling a game with Jalen is getting better. I'm encouraged because I think what I'm seeing is they're getting better. Like, there's growth, but they're not. It's not all the way there yet. I think if you're asking me, I'd say Sean Desai is probably a little bit ahead of Brian Johnson, but that doesn't mean by the end of the season we're not feeling good about both. I really don't think so. But get back to the NFC for a minute. Jerry Jones said today, basically, hey, we're not going to be initiating talks with anybody. I'm paraphrasing, but initiating talks with anybody. Let them come to us, and we feel really good about our team. Contrast that with Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman's team's coming off getting to the Super Bowl. Howie Roseman's team has a better record than Dallas has this year. And Howie Roseman is out there making moves to add to this team. Julio Jones last week, Kevin Byard this week. Be very thankful that you have Howie Roseman as a GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. He is an uber aggressive guy. Doesn't mean everything's going to hit. Doesn't mean every single, transaction they make is going to be right. But I would way rather have my guy be proactive than Jerry Jones, who's reactive. But anyway, back to this game, this upcoming game. Washington's not good. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They lost to the Giants last week and can only muster 7 points. They're not good. Okay. There does tend to be weird stuff that happens when there's NFC East games. Just the way it goes. I don't know. I don't really have a legitimate explanation. It's not something tangible. It's not an analytic that I can give you. It's just weird stuff seems to happen. As witnessed by the last time these two teams played in week 4. The Eagles win 34-31 in overtime. They score a touchdown probably too soon, the throw that Jalen makes to A.J. Brown, and they give Washington time Washington then proceeds to go all the way down the field and basically score with no time left. Right. And Ron Rivera, I don't fault him. I know a lot of people beat up Ron Rivera for this. I wouldn't have gone for 2 if I was Ron Rivera. I'd say I'd be happy to get it to overtime and take my chances. And Washington, in fact, got the ball first and didn't do anything, which is rare that team doesn't score or gets the ball first. But nonetheless, they played the Eagles really, really tight, even though the Eagles are the much better team. And Sam Howell had his best game as a pro. So the key to this thing is going to be, and it's, it's pretty common sense here. And you can apply this, I guess, to every week, but it especially fits this week. Sam Howell's been sacked 40 times in 7 games. Okay. He's on pace, and they're on pace, Washington, to set the all-time record for sacks allowed. There's no reason this team that has such good pass rushers, has so much pressure that they can put on up the middle, which is the toughest thing for a quarterback to deal with, shouldn't get 4 or 5 sacks. Minimal 4 or 5 sacks. And in turn, what you hope to start seeing with those sacks is turnovers, strip sacks, like we saw last week on Jalen. There's no reason that can't happen. If you look at Howell's stats, they're okay. 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for a first-year guy. It's nothing special. It's nothing special there, with him. And they haven't run the ball particularly well. Their best runner is Brian Johnson. Yeah, he's averaging 3.8 yards per carry. Terry McLaurin is a problem, no doubt. Curtis Samuel's good. Jihad Dotson's been a little disappointing for me, but that they have a decent receiving core, all things considered. So this is not a layup or a pushover by any shot. Mitch, I don't think BG's cooked. I think BG, they're slow playing BG. I think they're crock potting BG. I think what they're doing is they're trying to save steam for later in the year. I think also it's kind of like when you see Devontae Smith not getting the ball. You know why he's not getting the ball? Because A.J. Brown's getting the ball. You know why BG's not getting a ton of reps? Because you want Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat on the field, right? I mean, that's a piece of this thing. Speaking of A.J. Brown, what he's doing in the early going here, 7 games in, is nothing short of amazing. He is absolutely tearing it up. 52 catches already, 809 yards, 15.6 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. Per game, he's averaging 115 yards per game. That's crazy. He's had 5 straight games of 120 plus yards. That's happened twice since the NFL and AFL merged in 1970. Okay, we're going back now 50 some odd years since that's happened. He is everything and then some. I can't believe the Titans made another deal with the Eagles. I mean, Howie absolutely took him to the outhouse and pants them with the A.J. Brown deal, and then they make another deal to get Kevin Byard. It's crazy to me the team still. I'm happy. Keep answering your phone, please. I'm telling you, man, Howie calls me. Nope. Sorry. Not fielding it. Let it go to voicemail if Howie's calling me. But nonetheless, A.J. Brown's been awesome. I truly believe that Devontae Smith will get his in the end. It's looking right now like a down year for him. I don't think it's a down year. I know he had a couple drops 2 games ago. It's not really as much a down year as it is the guy he's playing alongside is dominating. The other nice thing is and this is credit to Brian Johnson. They're starting to figure out Dallas Goedert. They're starting to figure out what plays work for him, what plays that Jalen is comfortable, calling, dialing up, executing with him. That part of it's good. And you know what you've gotten out of the run game the last few weeks? It hasn't been eye-popping, but it's been solid, and it keeps teams honest. I think that's the biggest thing. You've gotten a running attack where they've stayed with it. They stayed with it this past week, which they didn't do in the Jets game. And Swift's still getting you about 4 yards per carry, and he still, makes an impact in the passing game too. So from all of those standpoints, that's good. I think with the offensive line, the fact that Lane Johnson gutted it out and played, it tells you a lot about Lane Johnson and how just tough this guy is. We know what Kelsey is. And by the way, tush push 4 for 4. As much as they want to cry and whine and complain about it, 4 for 4, it just keeps rolling. I mean, it is unbelievable. It's the most effective play in sports. It's the most automatic play in sports. It really is. And they're going to take it. you know they're taking it away after this year because teams don't run it as well as the Eagles. Simply put, they just don't run it as well as the Eagles. Martian says it's very difficult to focus on the Eagles or anything for that matter with this game looming. I got you. I understand. I know. And what's up, Brian? It's uncharted territory. Brian agrees to the poll. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I would agree with that as well. Yeah, it's uncharted territory when you have a game 7, and you run the gamut of emotions. You really do. See, pro football, pro fan talk. My guy Marcus, who's I love, he says it's not real football play. Neither is a behind the back handoff. I agree. And I think you're saying the first part of that sarcastically. I would agree with you. First of all, what's a real football play? What is it? 60 years ago, what were they saying about the forward pass? That it's not a real football play 70 years ago? Was it a real football play? Probably, right? What is a kneel down? Is that a real football play? As Marcus says, when Tua throws one behind his back, is that a real football play or is that a basketball play? It drives me crazy, the people that are worried about the aesthetics of the game of football. Football's supposed to be ugly, gritty, down, slobber knocker. That's what football is supposed to be. Seriously. And Marcia, Nick Sirianni's exactly right. If they could do it, they would. But because they can't, people want to get rid of it. They want to outlaw it. That's just a fact. That happens with everything in life. If people don't like what you're doing, they become haters and they're jealous and they rip you. And they want they want it changed. And this is the same thing. This is all about Eagles' success rate versus everybody else's. And I thought Jason Kelce put it very well. Jason Kelce said, look, other teams don't practice it the way that we practice it. They basically install it. They might do it once, and that's it. We practice it over and over again. And by the way, when you have the best offensive line in football and you have a guy who's as strong as Hurts, you're going to have success, but you also have to execute. The leverage that they get, as low as they get, makes sense. And the whole safety argument is bogus. The only team that's gotten hurt doing it is the Giants because the Giants didn't practice it properly, as their own coach admitted. Their own coach admitted. Yeah, the Wildcat was tough to figure out. Mouse Davis had his run and shoot and all that other stuff, right? That's all we ever heard about. And oh my God, this is going to revolutionize football and blah, blah, blah. Okay, what happened? Anyway, back to the Washington game. This to me is the kind of game that if you're a potential Super Bowl team, and I think they are, that you win. Because after this is the challenging part. After this is when it gets real. It's Dallas the following week, 4:25 at home. Then the bye week, which is the calm before the storm, at Kansas City. I know Buffalo hasn't been the same team, but we'll see where they are at that point. Home for Buffalo, home for San Fran, at Dallas, at Seattle. It looks like you got a break because you're going to close it out. Giants, Cardinals, Giants. All those teams could be out of it by then, likely will be out of it by then, but nonetheless, those other games, man, they are tough. They are really tough. So you want to keep putting as many deposits in the account as you possibly can right now. If you're the Eagles, just keep stacking, and they've done a heck of a job. I think, if you said to me before the season through 7 games, they'd be 6-1, no matter how it looked. And I know it hasn't always been the prettiest. I would take it. I'm excited to see Byard, Ed Reed, Blankenship together. All right, Martian, I saw what you did. I see what you did there. How weird is it, though, that you're going to have 2 starting safeties when Blankenship's ready to roll? He may be this week from Middle Tennessee State. Like, what are the odds of that? It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's, weird things happen in sports. Anyway, I think the Eagles take care of business. I think they win this game. I think that they obviously get to Hal, force them into mistakes. The one area that I think Washington's biggest strength is their defensive line. That's for sure. But you could argue the Eagles' biggest strength is their offensive line. So I think the offensive line will do enough to nullify Washington's interior. And I believe there's a lot of other areas the Eagles can take advantage of. I mean, I was looking at Washington's defensive numbers, and They do have some talent. I mean, Allen and Payne and Sweat and Chase Young, all really good. But looking at Washington's numbers here, this is defensively. Okay, I'll give you the offense in a minute, but defensively, 29th in points allowed, 21st against the run, 28th against the pass. Not even mediocre, bad. They're bad numbers. Offensively, they're 20th in scoring, 26th in running, and 19th in passing. This is not a good football team. You know, Ron Rivera is a lame duck. He's on his way out. Will they give it to Eric Bieniemy? I don't know. They might, but who cares? That's a worry for them, and that's a worry for another time. So I think the Eagles will win this game. That's for sure. All right, let's come back. We'll dive a little bit into the Sixers. Still no James Harden, MIA. The upcoming season, where they fall in the East. Giannis gets paid. We'll touch on that. Little Flyers mixed in as well. Off to a good start. And before we get out of here, I'll give you predictions on tonight's Game 7 for everything. All the marbles for the Phillies. We'll do that as well. Don't go anywhere. Rob Ellis Show, A2D Radio. Right back.
In our family, food is our daily bond. My Nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
I appreciate you hanging out. Rob Ellis Show, A2D Radio. Hit the like, subscribe, tell a friend, wake up the pets, do everything you got to do. All right, little Sixers. And I see that that Martian has a question. See the report the Knicks have a package ready for Joel Embiid. Yeah, Keith Pompey of the Inquirer put out there a report that the Knicks potentially are looking to put an offer together to try to get Joel Embiid. And the package they would offer would be Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, Mitchell Robinson, and some form of picks. Okay, so after I stopped laughing, after I picked my cell phone up that I dropped, and I stopped giggling when I'm Daryl Morey, I'm saying to the Knicks, get serious. I don't want any of that. I don't like Julius Randle's game. RJ Barrett's solid. He doesn't really move the needle all that much for me. And the rest of it, you're just trying to pawn off your garbage with Evan Fournier and Mitchell Robinson. No thanks. I don't want any parts of that for Joel Embiid. Sorry. Now, it may get to a point after this year where he forces your hand, and I understand that. And then you're up against it, and he's got a gun to your head. I get that. Certainly the Harden stuff hasn't helped. Ben Simmons, all the other bad trades, trading Jimmy Butler, all of those things that have happened over the years aren't helping your case if you're the Sixers organization. And at some point, Embiid's going to look around and say, in my 30s now, I'm not getting any younger. I'm seeing other teams make these massive moves like Milwaukee getting Dame Lillard, like the Celtics getting Drew Holiday. And, I want out. I want a chance to win. I get it. And I think Joel genuinely enjoys being a Sixer. I think he does love the city. I think he feels a kinship, a bond with the city. It's the only professional team that he's ever known. Face it, this guy wasn't in the United States for all that long. I mean, he came over here. He finished up his high school career in Florida. He spent 1 year at Kansas. And Philly has been a home away from home for him. So I think he does love being here, but he also understands the clock's ticking and he wants to win a championship. So we may get to that point where he's got to go. I'm not moving him for that package. I'm just not. It's not good enough. As far as Harden goes, so he's still away from the team. We don't know exactly what's going on. I don't know if the Sixers are trying to be nice They're basically saying he's away for personal reasons. I don't know if those personal reasons are that he doesn't want to play for the Sixers or Daryl Morey, or there's something else going on. I'm really not even going to speculate, but we know the situation. We know for a fact that he doesn't want to be here. That much we do know. And he said as much. He repeated it before he disappeared the last time. And I get Daryl Morey is saying, I'm not giving you away for nothing. I'm not just going to kowtow and give you to the Clippers for nothing. And I hope it's not just a personal thing. I hope he's not in like, I'm going to stick it to James Harden mode now. And I know some fans are like, damn right, stick it to him. And it feels good to want to, do that. But I'm about what's best for the team. And if there isn't anything out there, any other moves that I can make, look, here's what I would do. I'd keep him on ice. If some other team gets an injury who feels like they're a contender and they're going to give you good value, I move him in a freaking heartbeat. But if it looks like he's just going to be sitting, collecting that giant check, then at some point I got to just move on. Addition by subtraction. Get rid of him at this point. And I don't think we're there yet, but I will tell you that the team itself, Nick Nurse, who's just trying to get, acclimated here, they're going to get sick of answering James Harden questions. That much I can promise you. And that's something that Daryl Morey is really going to have to think about. All right. As far as the outlook this season, you had two teams make pretty significant moves. The Celtics have kind of remade themselves in some ways, kind of more of an offensive team than they had been by bringing in Porzingis, but they lost some with Marcus Smart, but bringing Drew Holiday in, who's a really good defender, and just a glue guy. He's a real glue kind of guy. Was a great move. I think Milwaukee's ultimately the team to beat. I think Boston's number 2. And, and we're going to see how Dame and Giannis and Middleton and Lopez and the rest of that crew, all coexist together. But I think they're the 1-2 right now. And then there's some up and comers who could be in the mix. Maybe Cleveland, possibly. You never quite want to write Miami off with Spoelstra as your coach and Pat Riley, pulling the strings. He's always good for a big move that could help them. You could see guys develop and be better. They lost a couple of guys who were really, Gabe Vincent and Strus were really big parts of their team that they lost. So we'll see, but I don't write them out. They're kind of a wild card team for me. But ultimately, I'm looking at the Sixers team, and I'm wondering if there's enough firepower. I mean, you do have Embiid. You do have Maxey. We know what Tobias Harris is at this point. And I know they have a little bit of punch they can bring off the bench with Kelly Oubre and whatnot. Don't expect a whole lot of defense or a whole lot of passing. But, the guy can score. So if you're just looking for, that quick fix off the bench, that's there. This feels very similar. I wish I felt differently. I really do. Like, I wish I could sit here and tell you, you know what, this is their year. They're the team to beat. They appear to be the most talented team on paper. I don't think so. Now, the one X factor that I will say, I think having a fresh voice, not Doc Rivers, and Nick Nurse being in here could go a long way. I think Nick Nurse is a good coach, and I think he's very good at adapting to what he has. He's not necessarily just a straight system guy. So that part I am excited about. There's some optimism for me to see what Maxey looks like, not under the shadow of Harden, running the deal. Can he be a point guard? Can he get guys in good spots? Can he feed the post properly? Is he going to be good on the break at distributing? All those kind of things. Yeah, the Celtics are a little top heavy, Martian. I agree with you. But I'm not a Porzingis guy. I think he's hurt all the time. I don't think he lasts. I don't think his legs hold up. I really don't. You seal your fate when you bring in James Harden. He's always been that way. Yeah, he has. And he's a brat. And when he wants out, we know what it looks like, right? And I don't think this is the end. I think he's got a lot more up his sleeve. I think there's more that's going to be coming here for sure when it comes to him, because he can't help himself. He really can't. He is a guy that once he checks out, and he's been rewarded his entire career for doing it also. Think about it. He wanted out of Oklahoma City. He ends up in Houston. He went out of Houston into Brooklyn. Went out of Brooklyn. He's in Philadelphia. Once out of Philadelphia, he figures, I've always got my way. Why wouldn't I get it again? That's the way he views things. So long story short, I think the Sixers team is a a good team, a playoff team, potentially a 4 seed kind of team. But do they look like right now to me like a team that can get past the second round, which has been, the benchmark for them? No, they don't. I wish I could tell you anything differently, but that's the way I view it. All right, I wanted to sneak in some Flyers before we hit the Phillies predictions. Good start, 3-1-1 right now. Couple of things which I like that I'm seeing. It looks like a real bounce back year for Travis Konechny. He's been really good. A couple of shorties, 7 points altogether, 5 goals, 2 assists already. He's playing well. I like what I'm seeing out a lot. And I think Couturier, coming off some really serious injuries, appears to be back to that sort of two-way guy who can win a faceoff for you, can do a lot of things. I like Sanheim and the way he's going. And some of the younger guys, I think, are getting accustomed to things. Carter Hart, so far, so good. You just want to be able to keep it clean in front of him and not have the guy just being peppered. I worry about the way the early portion of his career is going, that he's just seen so many shots that he doesn't get a little gun shy. But, he's done a nice job for them so far. So I like what I'm seeing. Just remember, they got off to a pretty quick start last year, too. So you can't get too crazy with that. But, I think all in all, what's going to be interesting is there's a lot of, not everybody, obviously Couturier wouldn't fit the mix there, but a lot of younger players that all you're trying to do is see if they're a part of the future, and weed out the ones who aren't. And there's going to be more trades. I mean, Jonesy and Briere are going to make more deals to try to acquire assets, meaning draft picks or young players who have some untapped potential, who are buried on a bench of a good team. That's what you're looking at. You're not going to be looking at bringing in veterans or anything like that. It's not what it's about. It's not about wins and losses this year. It's about developing these guys and getting this team on the right track for sure. And I think they're on the right track. I do. I feel good about where the Flyers are. They're not in our consciousness right now, understandably so. I mean, if you think about it, you have an Eagles team that's 6-1. You have a Phillies team that if they win tonight, they're in a World Series. And, you have a Sixers team that's about to start their season with a lot of stuff swirling around, when it comes to James Harden and Joel Embiid. So naturally they're going to fall, to fourth on the pecking order here, but eventually they're going to start climbing back up. I do believe that. And most things are cyclical in sports, but it's been a long time for the Flyers. That's for sure. Since they were really, really relevant. All right. Tonight's game. Told you I'm confident. I'm not overly confident. I'm not brimming with confidence, but I'm confident. First off, I think the Phillies win the game. I think it's 4-2. I wish it was a blowout. I wish it was a game we could put our feet up. I wish it was 10-0, whatever it was in game 2. But it feels like a 4-2 game. I think Ranger Suarez is going to do his job and pitch well. I think the bullpen will do their job. I'm really excited to potentially see Wheeler here in a big spot. And I just don't think you can keep a good man down. Like, I don't think Bryce Harper is going to go 2 nights without being impactful in a big game. He is a red light player. He's a money player. He's a clutch player. I think the same thing with Schwarber. Schwarber's going to have a big game. It could be a tone-setting one right out of the chute, or it could be later in the game, whatever. I think Turner's going to play well. And I also think they're going to get it from somebody later. Somebody later. I think it's going to be, when I say later, I mean, further down in the order. Whether it's Scott, there you go. Blowout so I can relax. Scott, I'm with you. I think we'd all sign up for that right now. I think it's Stott. Maybe Rojas surprises us with the bat. Just maybe. He had a couple of decent swings. He hit one well last night that I think Alec Thomas tracked down. That dude can go get it too, by the way. Maybe there's that little surprise element in there, but it would be great to see Bohm and Castellanos kind of get out of the little funks that they're in right now. And they could sure use them for sure. But I think the Phillies are the better team. It's at their place. Good guy on the mound to have. Work the counts early. Get to fought early. Get him in, the heavy pitch count where you're dipping into your bullpen. It becomes a bullpen game for Arizona. And then, you can throw some heat on the back end, whether that's Alvarado, whether that's Wheeler, whether that's Hoffman. Try and shorten this thing as much as you can. If you're the Phillies, get Ranger through 6 would be enormous. And I don't want Rob Thompson to have a quick hook with him. Trust him. There's a reason he's got an 0.94 ERA in the postseason. Ranger will deliver tonight. I think next week we'll be sitting here and we'll be talking about the World Series. We'll be talking about, at that point, we'll probably be into previewing like game 4, maybe coming off game 3. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, been a lot of fun as always. I appreciate all you guys in the chat section hanging out, everybody who's streaming, everybody who's listening each and every week. It's been fun, man, and we'll keep it rolling. I want to thank my guy, Ralph Dell, for all the hard work he does behind the scenes, and Tom Arnone and the rest of our great crew here at A2D Radio. I do appreciate you guys. Enjoy the game. I hope it's not too stressful, but I think the Phillies will win. I think the Birds will take care of business as well against Washington. All right, I'll see you next week. I'm Rob Ellis for the Rob Ellis Show on A2D Radio.